Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I made quite a few videos on the so-called volunteers fighting in behalf of Ukraine from different countries, and I made some articles on certain volunteers, Irish volunteers, English volunteers, American volunteers, all kind of volunteers that died, all volunteers, just volunteered and they died in Ukraine, killed by the Russians. And in all or in some of these articles, I claim that I have just a gut feeling that it's we're going to find out that the volunteers fighting over there are actually troops of certain kind of countries which come as units in Poland. In Poland, they change their uniforms, put a different badge of a volunteer, enter Ukraine, and they are volunteers. And after their time expires, they come back and they become again military personnel in the countries where they come from as volunteers. I do not have any evidence to support this gut feeling, but I have just a little bit of, maybe a feeling, a gut feeling as I call it. Anyway, also Ukraine has about 40,000, we are to believe, 40,000 military personnel trained in Western Europe or Europe and in other areas, I think United States of America and Canada. Someday will come back as Ukraine military fighting for Ukraine when Ukraine will need them the most. Also, Ukraine has a storm troopers unit, I call it that way, about again like 60,000 volunteers, again volunteers, all volunteers that will be used in when they're going to be needed. I suspect, based on my dreams and my sometimes I have this kind of hallucinations, that these guys are not really volunteers, but as I said, part of the military of other countries. They enter Ukraine as volunteers. Now we have this little group of Russians who fight Russians in Belgorod Oblast. They cross the border from Ukraine with NATO provided weapons. That's a fact. Belgium already asked Ukraine what happened over there, how come they have our weapons over there. They will not care, nevertheless. And supposedly now there are some Polish volunteers who also joined the Russian volunteers crossing the border in Russia from Ukraine, doing whatever raids they do over there, and then they come back with the loot or whatever they do, the missions they accomplish. It's all over just volunteers, again, full of volunteers. I know that Poland has a group of volunteers and a group of Polish military that do not get engaged in fights. They just demine. They are a platoon, I don't know how many there are, I can't remember, 100 people I think. They're just demining, pop, they don't pop, nothing like that. And we are believing that because they say so and they never lie to us, therefore that's a-okay. Now, I have here a few videos where I might have mentioned this, that these volunteers might not be volunteers, but might be, as I said previously. These are just a few videos, and I also have a few articles from today, and this is one of them, coming from Russia Today. And not only, don't worry, it's not coming only from the evil Russians, where it says that Polish militants claim involvement in attack on Russia, 4th of June 2023. The Polish Volunteer Corps says it infiltrated Belgorod region alongside Russian neo-Nazis. This is the Russia Today, okay, so all these things, you understand that, right? Polish militants fighting for Ukraine released a statement on Sunday claiming their involvement in an attack on Russia's Belgorod region. The announcement, accompanied by alleged photo and video evidence, was shared on social media accounts of the so-called Polish Volunteer Corps. I don't care if that's true or not. I don't think these are volunteers. I don't think. I'm skeptical. Let's put it that way. I'm skeptical, okay? The statement appears to refer to an incursion by saboteurs into the Grajvoron district of Belgorod region, which took place on May 22nd. The Polish Volunteer Corps said it I can't pronounce this one. Univocally, I think, I don't know, man, confirmed its role in the operation. It was with certainty, but I can't univoc, that's how it's in Romanian. I don't know how univocally, probably. operation, stating that the group collaborated with the Russian volunteer corps, a neo-Nazi unit of Russian nationals fighting on behalf of Ukraine under the authority of Ukraine Defense Ministry. This is what the Russians say, okay? So, it says, in a bid to prove its role in the May 22nd raid, fighters from the Polish Volunteer Corps shared videos in which they can be seen with Ukrainian T-72B tanks, American HMMWV armored vehicles, and Mi-8 helicopters of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. And here are probably some, I don't know if this is going to work or not. All right, so this is what these guys provided. Now, I don't know, this is what they say. I don't read Cyrillic, so I can't tell you. It says here that the governor of Belgorod region also mentioned the presence of Polish citizens among the saboteurs. All right, well, it says it's previously the main Directorate of Intelligence GUR of the Ukrainian Defense Ministry discussed the involvement of the Russian Volunteer Corps and members of the Freedom of Russia Legion in the Belgorod region operation. However, the Russian Volunteer Corps issued a statement on Sunday denying that members of the Polish Volunteer Corps had crossed the Russian border. The group claimed on social media that their Polish fellow combatants were involved in tasks such as prisoner escort along with military and medical logistics, but strictly within the borders of Ukraine. So, Warsaw has insisted it has nothing to do with the Polish militants fighting for Kiev. And I'm quoting, the activities of Polish volunteers supporting Ukraine in the fight against Russia should not be identified with the authorities of the Republic of Poland, said Stanislav Zarin, spokesman of the coordinating ministry of the country's special services. And we go to this one, coming from the New Voice of Ukraine. These are the Ukrainians. The same, June 4, 2023. Polish Volunteer Corps supporting Russia guerrilla raids, video report. Polish Volunteer Corps supporting the RDK with raids on the pop-up. And here is their emblem. I wonder what that iron cross is doing there, but I can only imagine. And I'm quoting, my darling, I've got the package from Nova Pochta, Ukraine's mail service, a fighter said in Polish in the video while holding the Russian post office signboard. The RDK also posted details of their Polish colleagues' involvement in recent operations. So, well, and I'm quoting here, we are going to liberate the entire Russia from Belgorod to Vladivostok. Oh my, in order to raise the white, blue and white flag of freedom over Moscow. A fighter of the Legion said in a video posted by the RDK on Telegram. Okay, well, first, if you're a volunteer, I don't care. Do whatever you want to do over there. Even if you're not a volunteer, again, I don't care. But at least call it the way it is. But they will not, because there will be bigger implications. Now, do I know if those guys were Polish, active military from their, army? I have no idea. But I do not I do not discard that as a possibility. Probability, I would give it, I don't know, 50%, this is how I believe, 50-50, I give it. They are enrolled in the Polish military, or they are just volunteers, 50-50 I give them. Possibility, 100%. Probability, 50%. And if they fight, they fight. What can you do? That's their right as free people, but... So, I suspect that we're going to find out other this kind of legions being around. I know Lithuanians, they have another legion over there. I'm going to find out some French have some foreign legion over there. The Germans have, and so on. And they're all volunteers. All of them, each and every one. It's just a volunteer. Yeah, okay. As I said, I have doubts about it. I don't know. I just don't buy things said like that. And, too many things are connected in order to say, yeah, well, how about that one? And you're supposed to be, how should I put it? It's like this, when someone tells you too many, you're supposed to believe things that you can't. So let's say they want to make you believe something very crazy right here, but they give you steps to get their arguments that each argument is crazy to believe. I mean, it's extreme. But they expect you to believe each and every crazy argument they bring. something like this. They say, well, I can even make up now an example like that. You know, I think this is the best that I can come with. As I said, they ask you to believe, to prove something in the end so unbelievable. They have to prove 5 things. They have to convince you 5 things. But they ask you to believe all those 5 things that are really extreme things. Like all those guys are just volunteers. Oh, you know what I mean? They have like 60,000 troops ready to intervene. Where from? Oh, they have people fighting over there overseas, not fighting, training in the West Europe instead of being in Ukraine fighting. Really, you know. And then the Russians kill a British guy. All guys are volunteers. The British guy, this and that. It's. I think I made here. Let me go back to this right here. The videos I made before. 2 Canadian volunteers, 2 more Americans killed, more volunteers that fighting for that. Ukraine lost group in they banned volunteer. Blah, 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 blah. It's not all of them. I know I made more than this. So there's just too many volunteers, and you're supposed to. They're just volunteers. I mean, each and every is like too much. You know, when you start with a deviation. So let's say you aim at something and you make a little deviation, let's say 1 degree. You know, go 1 degree to the right. Now that 1 degree in 5 feet is going to be just like this deviation of the bullet. In, 50 feet is going to be like this deviation. In 300 feet is going to be like this. And it spreads so far, the deviation, that at the end you're like, this is a big error actually. But here, close by, is just a small deviation of 1 degree. Just 1 degree deviation, puck. But in 1,000 feet, there's going to be a block deviation. That's what these guys are asking us. With little deviations, it's going to get a big deviation over there. And I'm sorry, I don't fall for that. It's not impossible for these guys to tell me the truth. I'm just 50-50 with this. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.